It's okay with Jay, guys. How you doing today? So today's episode is all about Fight World. Now, what Fight World means to me and what's going to mean to you guys is basically I'm just going to talk about up and coming fights, what's going on in the fight world in the next month. So as we know, we're all in lockdown. Things to watch. Unfortunately, some of you who do follow me know that I've just been barred off one of the other social media outlets that I was on because I streamed this weekend fight, the prelims, and unfortunately they see it, they found out, they blocked me. So I've learnt my lesson from that one. So I'm gonna discuss, and then what tends to happen going forwards is once the event has happened, the following day I'll post a video and I'll talk about it rather than trying to do it live. Again, I'm new to all of this, so this is all new with It's Okay with Jay. So all a learning experience. So let's get cracking, guys. So a couple of fights actually. For me, as you know, I'm I'm keen martial artist, a student as well as a teacher in his early stages, and I love it with all my heart. So I tend to follow any sort of fights that take interest or relate to me personally. Mainly for me is mixed martial arts, cage fighting, UFC, Bellator, that kind of martial arts is what I'm more for. So I'm going to talk some of the events that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. We're quite blessed in that sense because pretty much every weekend from now there is an event going on which I'll discuss. So something for you guys to look forward to. The first thing though ultimately is this month, guys, is the Mike Tyson fight. Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. fight at the end of this month at some point, I believe. Is it the end of this month? Yeah, boom, it's at the end of the month. And Mike Tyson, guys, come on. We all know Mike Tyson. Doesn't matter what generation you're from, doesn't matter what age you are, you've all heard there is a YouTube clip of his knockout gallery. Um, yeah, he's real. You have to see it, guys. Mike Tyson's gonna pop off. Again, for me, someone I love, someone I grew up watching, some of his knockouts, Williams, where he took one left hook to the body, pushed him across the ring, almost like he was given a push kick. Um, Got back up and was put back down again. The knockout to Botha, the way he knocked that giant down to the floor. Frazier, oh my God, he a legend. We can't say anymore, guys. We can sit here and talk about Mike Tyson all day long about every single thing he did in the ring. But at 54 years old, it's going to be an interesting fight. 8 round fight, and meant to be originally what's the word? Just sort of like a friendly kind of sparring exhibition match, which let's be real, not gonna happen. Not with Mike Tyson and not with Roy Jones Jr. I mean, you can't sleep on his record, 47 knockouts. Guy, if you've seen him, look at his left bicep, guys. Because of that left hook, his left bicep is bigger than the other one. So it's like you have a watermelon on one side and you have an apple on the other side. This guy, I was watching the Joe Rogan podcast where he was on there for a good few hours and spoke about how many extra left hooks he would throw in a day and what extra training he would do because that was his punch. So left hook v left hook, geez, it's gonna pop off, guys. I think Mike Tyson's got this, but again, this is just me being biased. Um, I'm aware of Roy Jones Jr. And his record and how much of an excellent, skillful boxer he was. So make sure you tune in. When is that fight going to be happening? I think it's the 28th of November, guys. 28th of November. So make sure you're ready for that one. So that's first up. Next up for me is this weekend. Coming up, we've got Felder Dos Anjos. And that one's going to be interesting because I've always loved Rafael Dos Anjos. I loved him from when he was in the when he moved to the UFC, when he was in the lightweight, when he tore up, he absolutely tore up. When Anthony Pettis was the lightweight champion, I mean, this was when Anthony Pettis was on Coco Pop boxes, and that's when he did the Pettis kick, the showcase kick where he jumps off the cage and kicks Benson Henderson in the face. So I mean, the way he fought and the way he carried himself and the way he was, he nearly fought Conor McGregor. I mean, things were going well when he lost his belt to Alves. Alves then lost his Alvarez then lost his belt to McGregor, and so on. Belts have gone missing. So yeah, he's gone up in weight. Hopefully, I mean, he's always had the skill set. He's got the BJJ. He's got the Muay Thai. He's got the kickboxing. It's just whether he turns up. Felder, Irish Dragon. Listen, we all know he's got a heart. This guy, the 2 fights with Edson Barbosa was enough to convince me that this guy's a warrior. And this guy should have been one of those guys born in the Viking days. Excellent commentator. I love what he does with the UFC. I like his personality. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. Personally, the rest of the card doesn't really seem squeamish, but I will still watch it because, like 2 weeks ago, where every single one apart from 2 fights in the prelims were all knockout finishes, and I'm talking highlight finishes. So that's the great thing about martial arts, mixed martial arts, MMA. You can never really tell. So again, I'm still going to watch the full card from the prelims all the way through. BT Sports is always one for UFC, guys. So if you're fans out there and you have BT Sport and you never realized it, normally Saturday night stroke Sunday morning, silly o'clock, starts normally 1, 2, 3, finishes about 7 a.m. So if you're on it, I'll be watching it. I'll more than likely do something after the show, not before or during. But again, we can communicate and you can let me know what you think about that card, guys. I think the main card I'm looking forward to, well, there's two more for the rest of the month, but is the Figueiredo Perez, because that's for the title fight. So it's always nice to see a title fight, the hype, the UFC, the push that they put behind it. And normally title cards tend to be quite nice and plump with talent. So this won't be a shock either, because I think there's 2 title fights on this one. You've got Figueiredo Perez as the main event, and then you've got my queen now, Valentina Shevchenko. Now I call her my queen because if you guys have seen her fight, you know why I'm calling her my queen. I think hands on, one of the best female martial artists out there in the planet, especially in a weight category. Only real recent loss, Amanda Nunes, who we all know is a beast and is a champ, is a GOAT. So, but for me personally, I think I would say if Valentina Shevchenko gets a rematch and beats her, would make that GOAT, and take that from Nunes. Shevchenko's kickboxing is amazing. Her Thai kickboxing, Tiger Muay Thai, out of this planet. Her dedication to the sport since she was young, her and her sister, everything that they've been through, everything that they've put in, forget that. It's the skill set, guys. This woman has one of the best spinning back kicks or spinning side kicks, depending which way the toes are facing, when she catches you, on the planet. Out of man, woman, anyone. The speed, the technique, the cleanness. I've seen her throw people across the ring, from Joanna Jędrzejczyk to anyone that she's fought. She catches with that spinning back kick. You're going. If you're not going down, you're going across the ring. So for me, my queen, she's gonna win that. She's fighting Maya, who's a talent, because you can't, again, the pool of talent that comes out of Brazil, you can't sleep on, because you got to think every country tends to have their main national sport. Obviously, MMA now is globalizing. However, that jiu-jitsu, you can never sleep on, guys. Once you mix that in with the other elements of the martial arts that all these super athletes have been practicing and learning, and blood, sweat, and tears, you can never write anyone out, right? No one can, anyone can catch that lucky punch, that one punch you don't see, that one mistake you make that leads to a submission or you getting choked out. It's yeah, it's going to be an interesting card. Then you've got Mike Perry, Tim Means. That was just rescheduled. Mike Perry's a whole bag of crazy, but you got to love him. He's just that one person out, guys, and his nose. I mean, I've got a broken nose through kickboxing, but you must have seen his nose in that fight. It is one of the craziest breaks that I've personally seen, guys. Quite scary. The guy was still willing to fight, and I swear he fought as soon as it was like a few months straight after. So you got to give kudos to him. That guy's got some cojones. Tim Means, rangy fighter, long rangy fighter. So it's gonna be a good fight, guys. Don't sleep on that one. Chookagian versus Carvillo is on that card. You've got Shogun Rua on that card, guys, against Paul Craig. Now, Shogun Rua, again, is a legend of the game. We'll never forget what he's done for mixed martial arts and what he's done for the UFC and the different organizations he's fought for. But it's really sad for me personally. Memories again. One of the other fighters that has been destroyed in the past by John Jones, like absolutely destroyed. It's unfortunate he's coming to that stage now where I'll find the UFC are just matching him with guys that, not all the time, but those young up and coming guys that are just that new blood of MMA, that new generation. Because you've got to remember a lot of these old school fighters, they had their backgrounds and then they kind of started to mix in with everything else. Whereas the new MMA blood, they are trained efficiently from day one in every different sort of art. I mean, it depends on which gym you go to or how you want to do it. For example, me personally, I started off with just freestyle kickboxing. From that, I then started to do boxing because I felt obviously I needed to improve on my hands. So I started training with my boxing coach, Nathan Weiss. Yeah, Sugar Nathan. Good few years I've been training with him, and my boxing just by training with him has improved so much. I then decided to again try and evolve and change a bit more. So I started learning Muay Thai with Apex Gym. Apex Gym, Mel and Ricky, over 50 years of Muay Thai fight and training experience. These two guys, amazing. And again, it's all about evolution. So I decided to start with one. Then I took on another one once I had kind of not mastered, but got to quite a good level with that one. Then started boxing and did boxing for a good year to 2 years before I started Muay Thai. Whereas this new young blood, new pool, their skill sets are so much more larger and widespread. It's so much more difficult for these old school fighters, in my eyes, which is unfortunate because especially with so much and what they've done and pioneering it from the early days of Pride and that progression into UFC, it is sad to see that some of these old, for like Robbie Lawler is another one of the fighters that I really feel for. Someone who has done so much for the UFC, but he was part of that old pool, is just rock'em and sock'em, where MMA has evolved so much since then that you've got the Colby Covingtons that would just work at different paces, outpace you, out wrestle you, outstrike you, dominate you. It's a whole new ball game. So yeah, I feel I do hope he gets a good result in that. But Paul Craig also, he needs a win. So he's got a lot of pressure riding on his back. So I think that's going to be a very interesting fight. Don't sleep on the prelims of that one. I've already had a look at some of the names on that card. Ondes is on there. You've got Moreno is on there. So, and like I've said before, guys, sometimes the prelims are probably some of the best ones to watch because I feel that they have more to prove because they know not many eyes are going to watch. So whatever eyes are going to watch, they need to impress. And some of these guys, again, they've come from Dana White's Contender series, or this, because of this whole lockdown scenario, some of these fighters have been drafted in from organizations that are not fighting. So it's almost like the UFC saying, okay, look, we'll make sure everything's okay. We'll test all our fighters. We'll make sure everything's a perfect environment for you guys to fight as long as you want to fight. So there's a massive pool of these young fighters, unknown names that are getting potentially given an opportunity, guys, to move up. So I think it's awesome for these young fighters from all over the world, and especially Europe. I mean, I'm in Europe, so it's what affects me and what I care about, what I'm passionate about, where I'm from, and especially the British talent. Obviously, I want to see that succeed. So yeah, no, guys, that card's gonna be awesome. But the one I'm looking forward to is the funny card. The reason I say it's the funny card is the week after that. It's I think the end of November. It's Derek Lewis versus Curtis Blades. Now Derek Lewis, because a funny guy. I've always found him hilarious. I think he's an awesome fighter. He's that pure. I think he's from. Don't quote me on this, but Texan, that raw American. What's the word? Sarcasm and just that don't give a attitude. And what was one of the things? I mean, he won one fight, pulled his shorts off, and they asked him, "What are you doing?" And he said, "My balls are hot." And I'll never forget when he fought Daniel Cormier, and Daniel asked him, "Why are you so pissed with me?" And he's like, "Because you disrespected Popeye's chicken." Like, just this guy's something else, man. He's just, if you've ever heard him on a podcast, Ariel Helwani, or I love hearing him speak. He's a funny guy. He's got so much character. He's real with his friends and his family, and he's got a good heart. That's what you want to ask for. And in terms of Curtis Blades, jeez, I feel for this guy. People don't talk too much about Curtis Blades. They He doesn't get as much attention because he's quite quiet. Now this is, again, please, I'm sorry if I got this wrong, but I feel that there's something with Curtis Blades that, with his personality, he either finds it difficult to speak, or he might have a speaking condition or something like that. And again, there's no but. I respect him so much for the fact that he's a killer in the UFC. I could be completely wrong, and he just could be completely shy. But you can see when the way he speaks that he's been through a tough journey of his own, that we will probably never know about, or something that he doesn't like to share or talk. So utmost credit. And again, what I'm talking about, that pure cesspool talent of new blood, Curtis Blades, what he does when he gets his hands on you. So it's not just he can strike and he can stand, but once he's got his hands on you, it's almost like that Khabib, that you're going down. And I've seen him destroy one of my idols. I've grown up watching Alistair Overeem from his early days in Japan, and his kickboxing. Um, it was heartbreaking to see how he he destroyed Alistair Overeem on the floor. And as soon as he got you on the floor, his ground and pound, guys, is ridiculously dangerous. So he's got cardio. So for me, it's an interesting matchup because Derek Lewis has done a lot to improve his cardio, and he's done a lot from the old fighter that used to just turn up and fight a couple hours training, and that's me good. I think Curtis Blades is going to wear and tear him. He's going to wear him down, really tire him out first, because we all know, especially with the knockout, with the heavyweights, any punch is night night. Any guy can night night anyone at any given moment. So I think Curtis will probably fight it a bit like how Stipe fought Ngannou. Kind of a lot of wrestling, leaning on him, using that weight, getting that strike in, constantly keep him busy, dominate. But I think he will get the finish. I think he will definitely the ground. Curtis Blades, after watching what he did to Overeem and just the way he cut him open, I think Curtis Blades, for me, is going to have that fight. So that's my one prediction of all of them so far. So that's fights so far. If I've missed anything, guys, please comment, let me know. I am looking forward to the whole what's going to happen next with Israel Adesanya. I've watched a few interviews over the last week where both Israel and Jan Blachowicz spoke to Ariel Helwani, and they both are basically saying that the fight is pretty much going to happen. So Israel 185 and Jan Blachowicz at 205. Israel moving up, taking a belt, so be one of the other very rare few elites who jumping up weights and taking up the belts. So for me, I think that's going to be an awesome fight. Israel Adesanya, his style, kickboxing, absolute. My background, I love to watch anyone that's involved and obviously support, because we get a lot of flack. I mean, even up to the point where I was learning Muay Thai, I was getting flack because I got a kickboxing background from my Muay Thai teacher who would call me Taekwondo boy. And took a long time until he started calling me Jay, because I've found, and this is quite honest, in the few martial arts that I've done myself, there is such a difference and there's such a disrespect between each to each. It is ridiculous. So Taekwondo thinks they're better than karate or vice versa. Muay Thai thinks their kicks a lot more deadlier and a lot more heavier because it's all about power, and it can't always be about speed when you're doing Taekwondo, etc. And boxing think they're this, and again, the guy get. Do you know what? Bruce Lee said it best. It's at its best when it's put together. And that's what I've been trying to do. So for me, the next thing for me to learn is BJJ. But anyway, going back to that fight, I think Izzy's speed is going to be ridiculous. Speed against power. That's all it's going to be. But we have to remember, Izzy has fought at heavier weights in his kickboxing career prior to MMA, so he can handle that bigger guy. We saw what he did with Paulo Costa. I mean, Paulo Costa's a tank, and the way he's run down opponents in the past and just the physicality. I think he can handle Blachowicz, but again, don't sleep on that Polish power. I have sparred in the past with quite a lot of European guys, Polish guys. Those guys got heavy hands. Something in their DNA, something in their food. These guys are strong, man. These guys are tough. So we can't sleep on that Polish power. I do feel sorry for the rest of the division, because then it does put a stop again. Because again, Glover Teixeira fought hard, man. 40-year-old man. After what Rumble Johnson did to him, knocking teeth out of his mouth, Glover's stepped back, made a change, changed the way he's fought, gone back to his wrestling base, nearly got put to sleep by Santos, again overcome adversity to win the fight. So you can't sleep on him, guys. Poor guy. Now what's that gonna do for Blachowicz's weight, light heavyweight? What's it gonna do for Izzy's weight? We all know Izzy likes to fight though, so I don't think Izzy's gonna be one to take the belt and move on, and then kind of have two different weight categories waiting. I think he will want to fight. But again, this is something February, but I just love it because it's teasing Jon Jones into the equation. This is someone who always has something to say. Someone I used to love as a fighter, especially when he first came onto the scene, what he was like as a martial artist, until his personality changed and that martial artist was no longer humble. And the things that he kept doing, people make mistakes in their lives. I'm not here to judge anyone, so I'm not judging. I don't know the ins and outs, but I'm going on personality and just how I see him, and the things he says to people, the spitefulness, the interview in Cormier when he didn't think the cameras were around, and he just the things that he was whispering and saying to Cormier, and anytime anyone's has any sort of moment, Jon Jones now is there to kind of remind him and rub his nose and bring it back in. Khabib, when he won the fight, how emotional he was. Jon Jones kind of had to put his 2 pence in and kind of, you are the GOAT. And then kind of, just don't like what you're doing, man. You had the respect of so many. You've got millions. We understand that. You made it, man. I'm still scraping it. I get it. You the man. But in terms of respect, and I really hope Izzy and him fight, and I really hope Izzy does shut him up and puts him to sleep, or takes that away from Jon Jones, because again, after everything, Jon Jones' career speaks for itself. Don't get me wrong, absolute amazing. However, obviously the Reyes fight, people thought different. The Santos fight, people thought different. Even when he came back against, I'm gonna forget his name. After the break, he came back and he fought. I can't remember his fight, but for the first few rounds, it went the whole distance. His first comeback fight, Ovin St. Preux, that's it. that wasn't an exciting fight. That didn't have me excited thinking John Jones is back. You know, so yeah, it's got John Jones back teasing, and I think, is he gonna go back down weight again? Because he left it to go to heavyweight. So again, it's something to talk about. But guys, let's stop talking about John Jones. Let's concentrate on that Izzy. Izzy's the next big thing. I hope, I hope that they match it up right, and I think they're aiming for February. So fingers crossed for that one. Guys, we got to talk about this guy, Khamzat. Now, the reason, sorry, I want to talk about him is because obviously his next scheduled fight is against Rocky Leon Edwards. One of our guys from UK, guys from London. Is he from, well, UK, doesn't matter. Um, but like DC said on their show, he's on the choo choo train. You can't sleep on this guy. He's again that new breed. He's a different beast. He's not prepared. He's not afraid to stand. He's not afraid to take it to the ground. Um, he's smashing records already, and you can see UFC have got that hype behind him. The same kind of hype they had behind McGregor. The same hype. That when they want you to succeed, you can tell when UFC is really trying to push him. I mean, he had a couple of fights within a space of months, if not weeks. And in both of those fights, again, he smashed records. In one of the fights, he hit the guy a ridiculous amount of times with no response or one response. His ratio of strikes to amount of minutes that he's fought in the UFC is ridiculous. And he's not afraid to challenge anyone. He called out Weidman, Wonderboy. All of those guys know that it's going to be a tough matchup. Wonderboy, especially if you're like a kickboxer. Again, I've had this when I'm sparring with some guys and you're messing around and they've got a grappling background. As soon as they get hold of you, it's difficult. Just when you panic as well and you struggle, because again, your background is something specific. So even if you're learning, it's not your bread and butter. It's not your DNA yet. It's something that you're trying to build in. So, oh man, it's going to be up. I think again, I do hope that they get the actual date. I'm not sure if they have, so I'm sorry if I've missed out on that date. But yeah, Khamzat, guys, Khamzat, Leon. I'm in an awkward place. Loyalty to my country, loyalty to the martial arts, can we say, with Khamzat? Because again, it's just what he brings is a complete different thing. So anyway, guys, yeah. So this was again. I know it's been about a half an hour, but I just wanted to talk to you about up and coming UFC events or up and coming fights, entertainment for you this month. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Please share, please subscribe, please make sure you leave some comments for me, guys, because again, I'm not getting many comments, so I don't know how bad, how good, how boring, how short all of this is. So thank you very much, guys. Peace out. It's okay with Jay. I'll be seeing you soon.